Hey folks, welcome to ADSR. I'm Stephen Ellestad. Make sure you subscribe to the ADSR YouTube channel and follow on social media. So one of the best things about Jam is how well it plays with the other instruments in the native instrument stable. And as I'm working with Jam and trying different ideas, I keep coming back to looking for new ways to work with different Komplete instruments because they play really well together. And all the new features in Jam, like snapshots and smart strips, perform effects, etc., all these new features and ways of manipulating sounds, a lot of fun seeing how they interact with these different instruments. And with Jam's different controller layout, there's a whole bunch of new ways to work with instruments using functions we already had, like arpeggiator or note repeat. Over the next set of tutorials, I wanted to show you some pretty cool ways the Jam controller and new features of Maschine interact with the different Komplete instruments. In this first set of tutorials, we're looking at how we can use battery inside of Maschine to take advantage of the pad matrix and some of battery's more advanced drum features. One of battery's biggest advantages is the number of slots available for sounds and the flexibility it gives us for shaping tone and character and creating layers of different groupings. So to start out, I've loaded a single instance of battery in sound slot 1. By default, the cell mappings in battery start each row on a C. So we're going to switch to keyboard mode on the controller to see how they fall on the pad matrix. So we can move the register up and down if we need to orient the pads. Depending on how many cells we have in our battery and how it's laid out. So there's a lot of things we can do at this point. We've already got it loaded up and we can record and perform, adjust cells, sounds, what have you. So we've already got it working inside of Maschine on the keyboard pads. And I'll look at a whole bunch of different cool options in some upcoming videos. But for now, because we can access the full kit from the keyboard, we can do more than that. Let's set up the other sound slots in our group so that we can load some select or choice sounds or samples in certain slots for live performance or whatever else we want to use them for. And it's pretty simple. Let's go back to pad mode. And we can do this all from the hardware, but it takes a little bit of time, and I'm a big fan of using the best tool for the job. So let's just grab our mouse and go into the software. And we're going to select sound slots 2 through 16 so that we can edit them all together. And so I'll just select sound 2 and then shift click sound 16. I don't want the actual kit selected at this point from slot 1. And now we're just going to go to make sure we're on sound, channel, output, MIDI. And we're going to set our destination to all these at once to the same kit, to the slot S1. And now every single pad is sending a MIDI signal. Now every single pad is sending a MIDI signal over to battery, but it's triggering all of the same sound. It's not a problem at all. That's because we have every single slot sending on a different channel, but the same note. But we want them to send a different note. And so we'll just go up into our group and we'll right click, group MIDI batch setup. Right now you can see we're on sounds to MIDI channels. We'll just go sounds to MIDI notes. And all of a sudden, we've got that set up. We can, and if I want to build a custom kit, I often find it's actually easier to start from the other mapping because everything starts with that same kick sound, and I know that if I'm hearing that on a pad, I haven't assigned it yet. So I'm just going to go back real quick, and go back to MIDI channels. I just find it less confusing when they all start from the same sound. And so now I can just choose a pad and adjust the note assignment directly. And with battery open here, I can see what's happening as well. And if you're only working with Jam, I do it in the software, just because it's kind of clunky to do it on the hardware. And we'll just go to the MIDI output page. We'll select a particular one and make sure they're not all selected. Choose transpose until you find the sound you like for that slot. And that's really quite simple. If you have a second Maschine unit, an actual Maschine controller, we have a couple easy ways to do that. We can do the same thing, but use the transpose knob that shows up in the macros, especially on a studio, which is what I'm using here. Or if you go into pad mode, sorry this isn't on camera, if you go click pad mode on the studio, we have the top 4 buttons over the right screen say octave up, octave down, and semitone up, semitone down. And we can just use those to maneuver really easily by touching and watching the screen and watching the movement inside a battery. And with those, octave will move you up and down, and semitones will move you left and right. So it's a real quick and easy way to do that. But regardless, lots of ways we can remap battery and work with it inside of Maschine. So now I have my full battery kit, because I come in here pad mode, got my whole kit available, and I actually have that same kit available on every single one, but offset by a different MIDI degree. So there's lots of possibilities once we start doing some creative production techniques, because we have multiple ways of accessing different sounds and elements of the kit. So that's a good look at the basics of getting battery running inside a Maschine and working with the Maschine controller, working with the Jam controller. In my next tutorial, we'll take a look at some creative ways of using new functions from Jam and the Maschine 2.5 for building some interesting parts and rhythms using battery, as well as maybe some further stuff on building some custom kits and sets designed specifically for the Jam controller. If you like this kind of, if you're interested in this kind of content, I have a 4-course series on ADSR coming out. The first 2 parts come out this month, getting started with Jam and production workflows for Maschine Jam, followed by some more advanced courses coming out in the next month or so. I'm Stephen Ellestad for ADSR. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe to the ADSR YouTube channel and keep on grooving. And take care.